Welcome to the ONS podcast with your host, Linnea Jacobson.
Good morning, community. It's the ONS podcast brought to you by our partners here at Face to Face Academy. We are celebrating Mother's Day all month of May, so all of our episodes will have something to do with women working to support other moms. For those of you who are tuning in for the first time, ONS stands for Office of Neighborhood Safety. I'm your host, Linnea Jacobson, and I'm part of the ONS team. This podcast was created for departments like ours and community organizations to connect you to alternative public safety measures, programs, and your local growth and healing opportunities. Today, we have Samara, who is a doula from Loyalty Birthwork. For those of you who are not familiar, a doula is a care specialist that provides support for mothers-to-be before and during the birth process. They offer emotional and physical support and can work as an advocacy on behalf of the mother. Samara, please take 30 seconds and introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. My name is Samara. I am a birth doula with Loyalty Birthwork. I am from Minneapolis, Minnesota, yes.
Okay. What was your childhood like?
Oh, geez. Single parent home. It was just my mom and my brother and sister and I. So, yeah, we were pretty close-knit. We're still very close-knit to this day.
So you got to give us a little bit about your background, because I know that you went to school for something else and then you started doing this. So you have to give a little bit, because they don't know.
Right. So I went to school for a dental assistant. So I am a licensed dental assistant. I kind of gave my license up, though, to be a full-time birth worker. The reason why I left dental assisting is really because I was just tired of holding hands for lidocaine injections. I felt like there was more purpose for my hand to be squeezed than a lidocaine injection.
That part.
Yeah, so that's why I had a major switch in careers.
God had a different plan.
Yeah, absolutely.
Samara is a mom, too. How many kids do you have?
I have 5.
You have 5 kids. And how many pets do you have? Oh, you know I was going to do it.
I have 1 dog and 3 cats and 4 fish.
Good Lord, Samara. Okay.
I have to take care of everything.
I have some icebreaker questions. Okay. So, and you have to choose one.
Okay.
Even if you don't, but these are going to be pertaining to you because I already know you. Macy's or Bloomingdale's?
Macy's. It's my favorite.
Me too. Okay. What is the first section you're hitting up at Macy's?
Shoes.
Mine is like that section where you come in, it's INC.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yep.
Yeah, that's me all day, every day. Okay. Rice, gravy, and steak bites, or pot roast, gravy, and mashed potatoes?
Oh, they're so similar.
You got to choose one.
I would say pot roast.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to go with.
I got one in the fridge that I'm going to make this weekend.
I'm coming over.
Okay, so it's Mother's Day. Are we going to church, then followed by brunch at a restaurant with the family? Or are we sleeping in, early dinner at home, followed by flowers and a quiet evening?
Well, we're definitely going to church.
Okay.
I don't know what we're doing afterwards, but we'll be at church the whole time.
Are you like a go out to eat person afterwards? Or are you like, let's go home, let's cook so I can sit down on this couch later?
It kind of depends. This week, I feel like we're just going to go to church and go home. But then, I don't know, by Mother's Day, I might be like, we should do a brunch.
Right.
So it just depends on how busy my week is.
Yeah, I think for me, I don't even know if I should say this. How can I tactfully say this? For me, it depends on how many glasses of wine I want.
That's a good one.
We're eating at home so I can sit on this couch and have 2 glasses. Or we're going out and I'm just going to have 1.
I feel that too.
All right, let's jump into these questions.
Okay.
Before we get started, really, tell us where the word doula comes from.
I believe doula is a Greek word, meaning slave.
Okay. And there's some background with that.
It is. A lot of doulas started off as Black and brown people, just to be support of mothers in labor and basically during labor more than anything. So, yeah.
So when did you decide to form Loyalty Birthwork?
Loyalty Birthwork was birthed during COVID. I had actually got fired from the dental office because I had an injury to my shoulder. And then I'm just like, okay, God, what is my purpose? I love birth work. I love going to births. I was also a birth assistant at the time, so I was tackling, 2 different roles. And I'm just like, what do I do? And he's like, loyalty birth work. And I'm like, why loyalty? He's like, because you're the only person that stays with this mama and her family for the whole duration of their
Ooh,
pregnancy.
goosebumps.
Yeah.
Sometimes God will force your hand, right?
Absolutely.
Because he knows that we will get comfortable and we won't move.
Yeah.
And sometimes he will allow things to happen so that we can move into where he wants us to be.
Absolutely. I agree with that 100%.
Okay, so give me more depth. Give me so what is it exactly you do from start to finish? What kind of training is necessary?
For me, when I started training as a doula, it was a weekend class.
Okay.
Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We went through, different scenarios and different things that could possibly happen. And also within that training, I was able to become a child birth worker education specialist. So it was like 2 trainings in one, essentially. I also was trained through another agency. It was the Doula agency. It wasn't a brown people, place. So it just wasn't for me. But the one that I actually did go through with and got certified, Common Sense. And I don't know if you know or have heard of Jenny Joseph. She's a midwife down in Florida who created the Common Sense practice.
Okay.
She's well known. She came here 2 years ago, I think it was, for Black Maternal Health Summit.
Okay.
And I actually got to meet her, and I was so
Okay.
excited. And she was like, you just kept pulling at me. You just was grabbing my attention. And she's such a beautiful soul. I love everything about her. But in that, we learned so much in that training. We learned about granny midwives and the different roles that they played and how they got kicked out when Western medicine became a part of society. And it just was the truth, So it was a great training. But now I believe the Wilder Foundation has a doula cohort training.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, girl.
Yeah. So I believe it's a 6-week program.
Okay.
Yep, and then it's different things. So you go through the Common Sense doula training certification, and then there's like infant and child CPR that you get trained on. There's lactation course that you also take. So it's a bunch of different little things. And I had somebody go through it, and she was like, it's great.
Wow. So I know you said you're in Minneapolis, but tell us about what areas you're serving, because you are all over the place.
I am. I go to every hospital locally. I just recently went, the furthest hospital I've ever been before, Waconia.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
You was in the car.
Yeah.
You put money in the gas tank.
It was an hour drive, but it was so worth it in the end. I didn't even get to physically attend that birth, but her mom had passed a couple of years ago, and she had brought her mom's urn with her, to the hospital, and she had got wheeled away for the C-section. And at Waconia, they only do one support person, and it's not a support person and a doula. And so with that, I just gave her the comfort and peace before they took her off. But it was still beautiful. Yeah. Everything about it, like the communication and, her appreciation and all of that. So it was worth the drive.
Culturally, for us, it's important to have mom in the room if we have mom.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, if we have mom, mom needs to be in the room. And so that's a big deal. I get it, why she brought her.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's...
Yeah, we definitely need that extra support.
So that is a good segue into what problematic needs are you addressing?
As of right now, I feel like there's a couple of them that are really big. The Black maternal health rate is ridiculous, and how fast Black mamas and brown mamas are dying during pregnancy, during childbirth, postpartum, up to a year afterwards, with different situations. They used to think that it was more like a postpartum depression, but it's like a lot of postpartum preeclampsia going on right now.
Okay.
And so that's another thing. Preeclampsia, postpartum preeclampsia, they are huge. And at first I was equating it to brown and Black mamas who were having boy babies in the George Floyd incident, because that's when it seemed like the uptick was.
The stress.
Yeah. It was
bringing
the
a
stress.
male into this world.
Exactly. But now I'm hearing that all across the board, no matter what race, age, it doesn't matter. Everybody is being attacked.
So explain to our audience what exactly is preeclampsia?
Preeclampsia is high blood pressure induced in pregnancy. It affects the liver and organs. So they can fail. You can have a seizure. You can have a stroke, all during your labor process, if you're in labor. But some people, it goes unnoticed because they don't necessarily have symptoms. And so they may not make it because they didn't know that this is what the signs or the symptoms was, or no one was taking precautions.
Right, or paying attention to those things during labor. Because in labor, you're in so much pain, you can't pay attention to you don't notice anything else in your body that may not be working right.
Right.
So it's important for that staff to have you hooked up to all the things you need to be hooked up to be monitoring you. And sometimes that does not happen to us in our community.
Absolutely.
For us.
Yeah, and that's a bad thing because it doesn't necessarily start in labor. A lot of my mamas are now getting it at like 27 weeks. And then they have to be in the hospital until they're able to deliver at a further term, if possible. Otherwise, they're in the hospital on magnesium, having to deliver early babies. So it's been getting really bad. I've had a couple of preterm babies born in the past year because preeclampsia has been so bad. And again, some of these mamas have no symptoms. Some of them do have the headaches and the swelling and the blurred vision and, all of those things. But most of the time, if they're not checking their blood pressure regularly, it goes unnoticed.
So I'm probably because I have a bunch of questions, but I'm just looking on my list because that question's later on. So because you touched on something that I want to I'll get back down to that. Where did your passion for this work come from, and what year exactly did you get started?
So my passion came from my own traumatic birth experience. With my first, I had preeclampsia. This is why it's so near and dear to my heart. And I was in the hospital being induced for 4 days, and I got to 4 centimeters. And they broke my bag of water 2 days early. So in turn, my daughter was born with an infection by emergency C-section. And then she had to be in the hospital for 2 weeks. And as a 19-year-old woman, my baby's in the hospital. What? My mom literally had to pry me out of that room. You can leave. She's going to be okay. And I'm like, no, I'm not. And the day I decided to leave the hospital, they called me within 2 hours. You can come get your baby. I was like, oh, all I had to do was leave. So that's what really drove my passion into doing this work. And then just seeing so many other family members and, friends going through these traumatic birth situations that they didn't necessarily have to endure because of them being brown. They're not being heard. Our pain is looked at as different. Our pain tolerance is supposed to be different. All of these things. And it's
apparently now, most recently, our skin is thicker.
Yeah.
Not metaphorically.
Right. They have all of
literally
these
they
reasons.
think. Yeah. Okay.
But scientifically, being in dentistry, I did learn that the only type of people that have a different pain tolerance is actually redheads. So it's not actually brown people.
Huh.
Yeah.
Oh, we can talk more about that because you're always so full of science and stuff. You're Samara's the doctor. She be telling me stuff and I'd be like, for real? Is that what I should do with my teeth? Or is that why that happened at birth? Okay.
Yes.
So what are some of the benefits to having a doula?
Emotional support.
There we go.
So that you're not feeling like you're alone or, made to feel like you're crazy because, you're having these symptoms and nobody is hearing you. So that's a big piece of the support. I mean, we do physical support during labor and delivery. We do that. There's coaching during pushing and education. That's a huge piece. If I would have been educated on the things that I was going through in my first pregnancy, I would have never had a C-section. So educating these mamas and letting them know they have rights. A lot of time we get white coat syndrome and think that because, a doctor has a degree,
right,
they know everything about our bodies. They can, do some blood work and scientifically know. But I do advise all my mamas, besides your baby, you're the only one that's been in your body. You're the only one who knows what you're feeling. So express that. Tell them if you don't want to do a certain thing, just flat out say, no, I don't really think that's for me. I don't want to do it. Or give me time. Don't feel forced or coerced to do anything that you're not ready for. But if I'm there and I see that there's a medical necessity, I will encourage you. You know what? Yeah, your blood pressure is getting really high. We probably should talk about an induction, or we probably should talk about starting this medication, or, whatever the case may be. But I allow them to make their own choices and decisions.
And that's that advisory advocacy piece.
Exactly.
So this is too, similar to, so why is it so important, especially in this climate, for women to have emotional, physical, and mental health support outside of clinical services during pregnancy?
Because they need someone that they trust, someone that they can lean on is very important. A lot of times when I first initially meet mamas, I'm like, I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm gonna be myself. I don't know how to be nothing else, and I expect you to do the same. I'm like, I'm probably kind of ghetto, and I don't care. I'm like, I'm a cussing Christian. Yep, I go to church every Sunday.
Girl, that part.
You're
So
probably
that's
gonna
what we
hear me.
call ourselves, cussing Christians?
Yeah,
Okay, I fall into
I'm
that.
like, I probably do that, you know, but it gives them room to relax a little bit and be like, oh, okay, she's just like me. You know, a lot of times, a lot of people don't know or understand that Black women and women of color, we are kind of put against each other.
Yes.
And we're told not to have a certain type of relationship with each other. And so because of that, we learn not to trust each other.
Yep.
So if I can have a mama trust in me and who I am, and to see like, oh, she's just like me, she's no different, then that's the way that I would rather it be. Like, let's have a real relationship. No fakeness. I don't
Right.
need that. You don't need that.
Right. That's more stress.
Yeah. I need you to know I'm here. I'm not going to come in the room talking like, oh my gosh, let me tell you. No, I'm going to be straight up with you.
So I feel like you just basically answered this question, because it was going to be, how do you assist mothers in feeling safe and less stress when it comes to pregnancy? And it's building, the thing that I'm hearing right now is building a relationship.
Yes, building a relationship, you know, encouraging them to go out and build a community, a support system. You know, that's one thing we don't have anymore. We used to have a village, and that village has fell apart. And it's like, we need that village back. You know, one of my models for my business is, it takes a village to raise a child, but it takes that same village to keep a sane adult.
Amen. Girl, goosebumps again. You are full of it today. Tell me more.
Yeah, so like, we need each other. We need to lean on each other. You know, even thinking back to, you know, George Floyd, if that community of Black and brown people weren't out there, nobody would have knew what happened to him. All of his stuff would have been invisible.
Yep. Erased.
Everything. No history of him. His family wouldn't have known. You know, body cams probably wouldn't have been like, we need to see the footage. None of those things. So it's like, we need the village back. We need to bring it back. So I do encourage my mamas, no matter what age they are, it's time to build your village. We got to bring the village back.
That part. What are your goals for clients when serving the community?
My number one goal for clients is to have 2 people leave the hospital alive. And then to have them thrive. That is my biggest goal. I don't care if you have a C-section. I don't care if you have a medicated birth. I don't care if you have a vaginal birth in the water. Whatever it is you want to do. As long as you and your baby are alive and you come out thriving, I've done my job.
I don't know why I'm getting emotional. I'm not having nobody's kids anymore. Like, I think what it is that I just love you.
Oh, thank you. I love you too.
Every time I talk to you, it's just as real as it can be.
Yeah, I can't be nobody else.
And I appreciate you.
Absolutely. I appreciate you.
The
Look,
city
you don't have me crying over here.
The city of St. Paul is working to rehabilitate, intervene, and provide safer neighborhoods. If you'd like to learn more about Loyalty Birthwork Services, you can find out more just by emailing loyaltybirthwork@gmail.com. Loyalty Birthwork is all one word @gmail.com. If you'd like to learn more about Community First Public Safety and the Office of Neighborhood Safety, please visit us at stpaul.gov/ONS.